Miami especially. We're still taking out with you.
Next Tuesday, so we're going to be able to Bob's a maniac.
The editing abilities was copied Mike Tyson. Other than very similar graphics. Each time,
Thursday every time I saw one of those guys.
this movie is thematically and also sometimes it's lack of a better word, it's spacing, it's timing, it's a little different. What are you trying to do?
Yeah, we call the company Raconteur because we're slaves to story. And so while we have a style, I think we have a style, people say that we have a style, we don't impose it on the story we're telling. We adapt it based on the subject matter. And so we have Cocaine Cowboys, and it's Miami in the 80s. So you need fast dolly moves, you need fast cutting, you need fades to white, you need Jan Hammers, popping sim score in there, and that's Cocaine Cowboys. Square Grouper is Miami in the 70s. It's a totally different aesthetic. It's a totally different sight, sound, feel, and that's what's reflected in the movie.
When I was listening to it, my boss is cadence. It seems there's a cadence is different. Godmother, it's a different cadence. You use a lot of animation. But again, thematically, cadence-wise, is it individual for
Positively, I mean, you just look at the subject matter. You've got cocaine in Miami in the 80s, you've got crack in the 90s on the West Coast, you've got marijuana in South Florida in the 70s. Next with the limelight, you've got ecstasy in New York in the 90s. That looks and feels, I mean, there's a different rhythm, a different tempo, a different cadence, and a different aesthetic entirely in terms of the music, in terms of the look of the film. And we do that, we do kind of a style book, going in that dictates the lighting, the cinematography, music, the editing, and we'll do our best to be a slave to that all the way through.
what about you? What about the kids?
Well, I mean, look, as Billy said, the company's called Raconteur. It's not Raconteur Films, Raconteur Pictures. Each story kind of molds itself in a way in terms of piecing and how we put it together. And that's the ability of Dave Sifton, our third partner, is engine still is really to tell stories. Makes the job of the producer really easy. You can have, when you have a storyteller that are able to pace things and put together in a dramatic narrative arc that makes sense and appealing to people like the three-act structure. That, it's not necessarily typical of documentary. So it's a pleasure to be able to kind of find these stories and be able to tell them in the style that we do.
Billy, again, a lot of people say you guys got Sandy Rob. First show came out, they should have won an Oscar.
Who said that? I never heard anybody say that.
Great though.
It showed that at least consider it like the awards process. Are you still? What do you feel about that? Do you think you can grasp that type of
Do I think we can, or do we want to? I mean, we have our genre, we do our pop docs. That's what,
Truly, so I actually did before the television news. I did the documentaries. There's something it's something like Diego.
Thank you, that's the goal. So it's always encouraging to hear that. The fact that we've taken it as far as we have so far, working with Michael Bay, and capturing the attention and imagination started with a project like Cocaine Cowboys, nobody understood it. Nobody got it. Couldn't get industry financing. That was after our first documentary for the Sundance Film Festival, lining up on the front page with their post. We were anointed the bells of the Sundance Ball and could not get industry financing for Cocaine Cowboys. Just, nobody got it. It didn't happen. And now to have people knocking on our door, pretty happy. I mean, the measure of success as filmmakers, really almost any kind of movie, is that you get to work again. You get to make another movie, you know, and we're very proud that the first 10 years of this company has seen us release 5 projects, and this year, our 11th year alone, will see us release 5 projects. So that's good. I don't really know what more to hope for, and this is a Billy Corben tuxedo. So I don't know. I wouldn't even know what I'd wear to an award show, you know. And I mean, if you were Joan Rivers right now, you'd be like, "What the fuck are you wearing?" And I'd be like, "The nicest clothes I have, Joan." That's what I would say. I don't know what else we, you know. I'm very, very proud of the work and very proud of the output. And I remember ESPN in the intro to the U, they would have like this whole montage. They had like an interview with me, and they're like, they said the award-winning director of Cocaine Cowboys, Billy Corben. I remember turning out and going, "Have we won anything?" I was like, "I don't think we've won anything." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, award-winning. I'm like, "I don't know. Better call the fact checker on that one."
One of the funny things that people always talk about you, and again, we're celebrating people's celebrating pride.
I don't think that's not fair. You should ask Luke about that. I don't think that's fair.
The next mayor of Miami-Dade.
Or Campbell. Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't think that's. I mean, you know, these were young men. I mean, these were college kids. I mean, any of us at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old that have to undergo the scrutiny of a big media town like Miami. I mean, we were like a multi-newspaper town. Back in those days, you had every major network affiliate jockeying for a big story. And these guys were, I mean, imagine you at 19 or 20, or any of us at 21 having to deal with this level of scrutiny. And none of us would have, any of us were kind of crushed under pressure.
And Muhammad Ali got criticized for it. He didn't brought a Muhammad Ali ethos to team sports, and nobody had done that before.
Again, that's another Miami guy.
Yeah, that's history.
Here's another question that kind of follows that one, is that how much of your work, how much of your style is defined by Miami?
All of it. 100%.
You guys went through
It's where we grew up, it's where we were raised, it informs everything that we do. But, you know, before our generation, there's not many native Miamians. It wasn't until 1950 that people lived down here full time because of Central Air Conditioning. So, you know, people had their winter homes, you know, Miami was a transient place. The 70s were kind of the first generation of kids who were born here, going to the same raised and ended up staying here. So we are part of that generation. And so we're proud to be part of that generation. 305 guys who stay here, born here and raised here and stay here.
And if you can, always says, no matter how long people have lived here, you say where you're from, they go Philadelphia, Chicago, California. You know, now you're seeing it. You need only look at someone's Facebook page, like Albert Sensi, 305 till I die, and you realize there's a generation of people who are now identifying with Miami.
Thank you, Val.
I'm sure we'll see us in the next couple of days.
you remind me back. Obviously, the very pronounced tenor and flavor of Miami in the area of South Florida now since the early 80s. And that's been the Latino, a lot of the Latino influence. I mean, shit, Cocaine Cowboys, all your characters what part of that, I mean, what part of the Latino culture is playing your work?
Billy and I are probably the only two gringos who have spent 12 years in the public school system and don't speak a word of Spanish. So.
After 12 years in the Miami-Dade County public school system, it's a miracle I speak English.
But, you know, it's part of where we grew up. You know, it's part of our identity. You know, growing up in Miami in the 80s, I mean, you know, Latin culture, Hispanic culture is part of who we are. It's part of, part of the fabric, and we'll always do that.
Now, what's funny is after Cocaine Cowboys, you know, we've got Cubans who come up to us and they'd be like, okay, so like, you did Colombians, but like, what about the Cubans? So next year, Willie and Sal, Willie Falcone and Sal Magruder, Cocaine Cowboys, Los Muchachos. So that's Cuban. They are. I mean, they are. First of all, they're certainly the most famous and notorious cocaine traffickers in Miami history, but they're also also the biggest Cuban cocaine traffickers in the history of the world. So that's next year.
No, in terms of filmmaking, part of this is going to be the process, you know, part of it. There's a lot of people out there. Again, you guys are big Miami guys. You inspire a lot of young filmmakers out there. What do you say to these young Latinos? A lot of them are watching your material and like, oh man, I want to be like this guy. I want to be like this person. What do you say to them?
We're always looking for new talent. I mean, we've expanded the company and had one of the guys who hired to do a Limelight documentary had directed the Oak Field documentary that came out a few years ago. So we're in the film shoot. Yeah, we're always looking. We support the British film festival guys. We're always looking for the young up and coming talent. We want to hire them. We're looking to hire, so we want to hear from them.
What about a couple of bingo guys? Like, what about those Latino filmmakers? Just to meet them about like both of them. You know, there's not a lot of them.
Their audience is growing. You know, when people are trying to figure out what's next, and yeah, well, it's when people are trying to figure out what's next in entertainment, it's finding the audiences, and that's a really big audience. And so I think it's finding a business model that makes sense, realizing that not everybody has to be the next Spielberg, but you can be a working class filmmaker. You know, you can make a living doing what we do by putting together projects that are for a particular audience that people are interested in. People want to see. We've been lucky that one or two projects have kind of transcended, you know, a niche and become a little bit more mainstream. All you need is one or two of those, and you can keep working as we have.
Awesome. Last question, guys. I think that 13 minutes of your time. And Sarah Marks is one of our Here it is, guys.
Very impromptu.
Is the God Mark still alive?
I know. Absolutely. Yes, we heard she's in Colombia.
You guys ever seen her movie and everything?
No, to her son.
Do you think how does she?
Well, not only like last we heard she's alive in Colombia, but one of our contacts at the DEA said that with her past, in terms of the way she used to come in and out of this country, and with the Mexican border the way that it is, that he wouldn't be surprised at all if she could be walking among us right here on Lincoln Road right now. Perfectly conceivable.
All right, drug violence in Mexico, border wars. I've been stories about Ciudad Juarez and stories about I mean, straight up crazy violence. Have you guys ever do something on that?
Well, we got a long list right now ahead of that, but you know, what's going on in Mexico right now is crazy. I mean, it makes what happened in Miami in the '80s look like child's play. I mean, it's absolutely insane. You know, and the biggest problem is that they all stayed on our border. You know, I mean, this is a much different problem than what we were looking at in Colombia in the '80s.
Yeah, at least we had an ocean away, you know, from Colombia. But truth is, we'll leave that to you and Mark Potter for now. We'll license your archival footage later.
But you guys are still in travel to Cancun, right? It's 2,000 miles away.
For spring break? For what? We got work, dude. We got a lot of work to do.
Awesome. Hey guys.